It would be challenging to find two more foundational economic institutions within the Torah than what we find in Parshat Bahar, one of two parshiot that are read this Shabbat, Bahar B'chukotai. Parshat Bahar talks about the Shemitah, the sabbatical year, and the Yovel, the Jubilee year. The sabbatical year being the 7th year, and the Jubilee being at the end of 7 cycles of 7, the 50th year, after that 49th year. The Shemitah year talks about the idea that we should work the land for 6 years, we should farm, etc., for 6 years, and on the 7th year, we need to let the land recover. We need to let the land lie fallow. We also are told in other parts of the Torah that on the 7th year, loans are forgiven. Rather than being asked to pay them back, the borrower is not asked for the money from the lender. And so those loans are forgiven. The Jubilee year, perhaps the key element here is that at the end of that 7 year times 7 year, I should say it differently, the 49-year cycle, 7 times 7, we have the Jubilee year. The Jubilee year has us allow people to return to their ancestral lands. Even if they sold it over the course of those 50 years, everyone returns back to their land. There are far-reaching consequences within the idea of both the sabbatical and the Jubilee year. Ideas which try to prevent people from falling into intergenerational poverty, the idea of working the land so hard that it can't recover. These are really far-reaching, and I think that they're so exciting in some ways as ideas that each year I find myself refreshed and rejuvenated and hopeful because these models exist within our Torah. Part of the challenge, of course, is understanding how these concepts might apply directly to the world we're living in now, a world of international trade. The sabbatical year and the Jubilee, they actually, according to the Torah, apply directly to the Jewish people when we are living in the land of Israel. So today for people living in Israel, perhaps, but not for people living in West Bloomfield, for example. The question is, what are these laws and what are these institutions to us today? What could they be for us today? And I would argue that to the extent that Torah is mapping out a plan for a society that is supposed to be a model for others, we should be able to claim these institutions of Shemitah and Yovel and ask ourselves, ask the Jews, how we can bring these ideas into the public sphere in greater ways. What would it mean to ask our society, American society, or the world, what debt really means? How debt infringes upon freedom? How the possibility of eliminating intergenerational poverty could transform our world, especially today in the midst of the health crisis that stretches throughout the entire world, causing tremendous economic hardship. It particularly is a moment for exploring Parshat Bahar and trying to think about how these concepts might translate into the world today. I hope you'll read Parshat Bahar and B'chukotai and be inspired by the words of the Torah, and that you will ask yourself, how might these concepts work in our world close by, here in Michigan, and how might they work even more broadly? What is the potential that's found on the surface and beneath the surface of the Torah that is our inheritance? Shabbat Shalom.